放到那个小光了，现在小光的那个地方，背对我带就行了啊。Okay, so welcome to sunny Beijing on this beautiful sunny Saturday morning. I'm not walking here, it's very sunny. I'm next to this very nice park here and you have this old restaurant in the background. But I got this question after some other videos like, how do I stay in shape? And I'm in my 30s, I'm 34. What am I doing? So I figured I would just give some answers to that. But of course, before we even get into that, you know, staying in shape and sort of maybe losing weight and all this, I feel, of course, a lot of people in this world don't even have access to food and safety, and there's a lot of conflicts going on. So of course, we have to really cherish the opportunity to even think about this, you know, sort of the Maslow's hierarchy of needs in the bottom. Staying safe and just having food is the starting point. So this is just sort of vanity problems in a way. But at least if you have the opportunity, I really like to try to work on myself and my health and my body. So this morning I'm out now, it's already noon actually, but I went to the gym and I feel at least for me it's a good way to kind of progress in your life. So I'm just going to show you a bit in the background here what I kind of look like at the moment. Of course, you know, vanity and so on, and I lost a bit of weight, which is, you know, one of the goals I'm working towards. So I think it's just nice to have some progression in your life, even if there's a lot of stuff you can't control. And later today I'm also going to meet up some people, go to the park, play some games, and I also actually cooked some oat banana bread to bring along and share. So yes, with that in mind, let's get started. Okay, so I'm gonna share with you 10 tips here, and then if you stay to the end, I'm gonna show a bit of a bonus tip. But the first tip, and maybe the most obvious one, of course, is to adopt an active lifestyle. So actually, as I mentioned, I'm gonna go to this park later today and meet up some Swedes. So that's actually, we have this t-shirt here, Try Swedish, because we're gonna show some Swedish stuff there and need to promote everything, healthy products from our country, right? So that is the first step. And of course I went to the gym, as I mentioned already, but it could be, you know, yoga, cycling, swimming, hiking, you know, meditation, a lot of different things you can do. So that's totally up to you, but just to make sure that you don't just sit around, of course. So that's my first fitness tip. So the second tip is it's a marathon and not a sprint. So of course you can have some aggressive, you know, 2-3 week sprint trying to get something, but that's probably not going to be something that you can keep the rest of your life. You need to kind of make it your lifestyle actually. So, you know, being active, eating more healthily, and it's kind of becoming your identity. I mean, like for me, I am someone who eats healthy, exercises, and I enjoy it. I think if you just do this, you know, a few months or weeks, you can get results, of course, but the likelihood of sort of bouncing back is probably quite large, and I think statistically that's what we see. So I think you should more see it as, if you want to be more healthy, basically you probably need to change how you live and what you do on a daily basis. So yeah, that's my first tip. Okay, so the next one is actually to have a goal. So for me, 2 years ago roughly, I was on a boat outside. It was kind of leading up to the spring, and someone had a bet with me like, okay, so we should get in the best shapes of our lives basically, you know, let's see who wins. Summer was around the corner, so I looked that up sort of online and figured like, okay, to be, you know, beach fit or whatever, you should get to around sort of 12% body fat. And you know, okay, what does that mean? Then I did some research how to go for that, and basically went for it. And by 1st of May 2020, I guess, I achieved that and actually started this YouTube channel like, I don't know, a week after or something. That was actually my first video a long time back. So, you know, then you know where you're going for, and if you don't know that, it's kind of hard to know, are you progressing or not? And yeah, so that leads me to my next goal actually. And sorry, of course, not the next goal, a next tip, of course, I mean, which is tracking. So how do you succeed? You succeed by using Excel. Excel at using Excel. Microsoft Excel, that is. Jokes aside, very bad jokes. I think if you don't have a goal, of course, it's very hard to know if you're getting closer. So if you have a goal, you can track, you know, so I had 12%, what am I at right now? So of course you need a starting point. So I got a scale actually starting tracking, and wow, someone's cleaning their throat in the background here. But basically, it can sound very daunting and wow, it's going to take a lot of time and effort. And I actually didn't start tracking fitness. I mean, like 15 years ago when I was in high school or something, I used to track sort of my runs. Running 3-5 kilometers was the speed to motivate myself. But then after that, actually, I think when I started working, I wanted to kind of track my finances a little bit more. So I started to write down actually all my expenses on a daily basis to get a better understanding. And then after a while, that just becomes kind of habit. And then I think a few years later, I was actually sick, so I couldn't drink alcohol for a while. And then I just started to figure out, like, it would be interesting to actually see how much I drink. So I started keeping notes on that. And then when I really got into this fitness thing, I started to track my weight. Actually, I used to track my weights around my workouts even before that, but then I started actually every morning so you can see where it's going, and bought like a good scale actually where you can see your body fat percentage. Then later on it got more into sort of tracking calories and so on, but once again it kind of becomes who you are. So for me it's not really a big problem. I just kind of do it without even thinking. So goals and then tracking. So let's go to the next tip. I forgot to mention, of course, that I use Excel, which is pretty crazy. I'm sure there are many different apps so you can do whatever you want, but you got to start by tracking. So that brings me to the next tip. So for fitness, if your goal is to get stronger, for an example, which was never really my goal. I just went to the gym because it's healthy, right? Which it is. But now I actually want to get stronger, be able to lift heavier weights. How do you do that? Well, you need to lift heavier weights. You need to know what are you actually lifting by tracking that. So I'm sure there are many different apps. I use Excel, but progressive overload. So you actually write down what your weights are, and then you increase that over time so you get closer to your goals. I mean, it's the same with your budget or your investments. Oh, someone's screaming in the background. To know how much you save for example, every month, getting closer to those goals. So yeah, tracking goals and use whatever app you want. So yeah, let's go to the next tip. So the next tip is quite timely because I'm actually getting close to a lot of restaurants and, well, nice things in general here in the background actually. Music going on. You have these boats and tunnels, and there are a lot of restaurants here. My next tip is actually diet is key. You need to look into your diet. I would say, of course, exercise, being active is important, but if you don't know what you're doing with your diet, it's going to be very hard to progress. Of course, there are a lot of temptations of restaurants everywhere, right? But you need to at least think about what you're eating. Can you do something there? So I can go more into depth about that later. But just for an example, are you drinking a lot of soda, alcohol, milk, sugar in your coffee? Start with those small things, then you can get a lot more detail. But just taking out one juice and one cappuccino and one beer a day, that's maybe like 300-500 calories. Just doing that can be much easier than changing your diet more on the food side. So start by just thinking about your diet, I would say, is key. So yeah, let's move on. So the next tip is kind of on the same theme actually. You have, of course, here in China, a lot of fantastic restaurants, and I really love eating food, and maybe I will end this video by eating, we'll see. But actually the tip is learn how to cook. And basically for me, I didn't start cooking until like in my 30s, honestly, because I was living also in Asia. It's quite cheap to eat out, but basically you have no clue what you're putting in the body. It might look healthy, but maybe there's like a lot of oil, a lot of grease, a lot of extra calories, but also just unhealthy in general. Once you start eating, at least for me actually, I just feel much better first of all, but then you actually know what you're using, what ingredients. So that also might be a daunting task. I mean, just how do you even cook things if you've never done it in your life? You have to start somewhere, but start with some easy things. You don't have to do everything, not every day. But for me, I really enjoy it now. It's kind of relaxing and know exactly what I get into my body. I can control the ingredients, so that's a very important tip. But yeah, once again, a separate topic all in itself. So let's go to the next one. Since we had so many nice restaurants here in the background, I thought I might comment on exactly that, and that is learn to not give in to temptations, short term. Yes, restaurants and a lot of things are fun, meeting friends, having beers and so on, it's great. You need to have balance. But if you do that all the time, just giving into what you want at the moment, you will lose track of your goals. And I mean, that's why you have a goal. If you don't have a goal, of course, you don't maybe even think that you're deviating, but you know where you're going. And you know that, okay, eating out, that huge meal in the restaurant will take me further from my goal. Is that what I want? Will I feel better after? Probably not, or at least not for me. But I will feel great when I wake up in the morning and I feel I stayed true to my goal and getting what I want. Of course, you can have rewards later. I'm not saying you should avoid it, but just not always giving in to like, oh, this tasty snack, I want it, oh, this chocolate bar. No, have like a fruit instead. So yeah, balance of course is key, but just learning to think about that, like what am I doing, so you don't get addicted to this constant dopamine rush and like short-term rewards. Think about the great meal you're gonna cook that's gonna bring you healthier, you know, get you closer to your goals and lose weight if that's what you want, or gain muscle and weight. That's, you know, can have that as a goal as well. And how you will feel, how great you will feel actually from that instead of just having the cookie. So yeah, that's another tip. The next one is actually habits, to get healthy habits. So in my case, it's walking. Actually today it's lower than normally. It's only like 6,500 steps so far because I didn't go for a morning walk. I was home, as I mentioned before. But just my habit is basically I walk to work and back, and of course not everyone can do that, and I'm not saying you have to, but maybe take a walk, you know, if you have a, you know, a dog, walk the dog, you know, go for a walk or something. So that's just something I do without even thinking about it. It's not a hassle for me, the same way as, you know, my habit is to eat healthy lunch. It's not to go out and be like, ooh, let's see what tasty things I can find at McDonald's. So that's just become who I am. So make sure you try to sort of form these habits. I mean, like writing down, for example, like the expenses, the weight and so on. You kind of just add on layer after layer. After a while, it just becomes what you do without thinking about it. So it's not like a big troublesome thing you have to think about every day. So think about what habits do you actually have every day. Getting up, you know, early in the morning, maybe exercise. Do you have a healthy breakfast, or do you buy at like Starbucks on the way to work, or just have a very fatty, unhealthy meal? For me, I try to eat a lot of healthy, you know, protein for the morning to fuel my whole day, and that's my habit, and I get more things done. It's not a hassle, it's not something I don't want to do, I actually really want to. So think about your habits, that's really a big tip. So here, since we have restaurants in the background, the 10th and final tip, and maybe the hardest one, but maybe the most important as well, is track your calories. And what does that even mean? What is a calorie? Well, a calorie is a measure of energy, actually. I don't know the exact definition, but basically, you know, the number of calories is that you need to sort of keep your weight stable. So you need to figure out, of course, how many you eat per day, and they're calculated and so on. Maybe I can link something here, but it's more to just start thinking about it that way. I mean, basically, as I mentioned earlier, the way the body works is if you eat too many calories, you get too much energy, and the body basically stores that as fat. So if it has taken you 10 years to gain weight, it's because you've added on a little bit that over time. If you want to lose weight, if that is your goal, I'm not saying you have to eat less calories than your body needs, which is tough. Your body will start, you know, telling you eat more, and then it will take away from the fat. And that's why you need to know how many calories you eat. Are you actually eating less or more? And of course, you can also exercise, then you burn calories. But I think a lot of people overestimate how many calories you actually burn by exercising. Going to the gym, for example, doesn't burn so much at all, a few hundred maybe, perhaps. Of course, you do intensity things, they can be different. My point is more like eating is probably easier to affect, like I mentioned. Maybe cut out the sodas, the beer. I mean, you don't have to skip alcohol completely, but just a little bit. Or, you know, changing your breakfast or your meals. If you really get sort of into it like I am, I basically been tracking for 2 years everything I eat. It's not something I really think is a big problem, and I basically eat a lot of the same things, same breakfast and, you know, almost kind of lunch. So I kind of know that if I eat 2,700, 2,800 or something like that and stay active, my weight is basically flat, or even lose weight. So if you want to maybe get stronger and add on, you add more. But just thinking, okay, a donut, how many calories are there? Is it 100? Is it 1,000? Is it 500? How many do I need per day? 2,500. Okay, so do I really want to spend like 500 of my calories on this small thing that doesn't even make me full? Or do I want to have like a bowl of oatmeal that's like 300 calories, has a lot of good nutrients, protein, or a big salad that's like 200-300? Or do I want to have a burger with fries? It's like, okay, 1,500 calories when I have 2,500, so I only have 1,000 left for the whole day. Will I feel great doing that? Will I starve myself? Will my energy be great? Probably not. And also, get into the next step. I mean, if your goal is to like me, go to the gym and build muscle and so on, you need protein to build muscle. And also protein actually keeps you fuller longer. So I think that the sort of the world recommendation, I'm not sure who has issued it, but it's around 65 grams per day. But that's very low. If your goal is to build muscle, it's probably like 2 or 3 times more for people like that. So for me, I aim at 160 to 200 grams per day, which is, you know, basically you take your body weight in kilos times 2 roughly, or your body weight in pounds, and that's what you should aim for. But then of course, okay, 160 grams, how much do you actually need to eat and what to get that? And you have no clue if you haven't really looked into it. Then you can start looking into like, okay, how much is it in, you know, chicken or a steak or you know, or a burger or fries? And maybe you realize that, oh, actually fruit don't even have protein. Maybe I should not just eat fruit all the time, or rice that barely has any protein at all. Okay, maybe I should eat more fish or shrimp or eggs. And oh, egg yolks have more fat than egg whites. Okay, maybe I should have a little bit less in my omelette and cut down on the calories. So you just start thinking about it. So you can do small steps at a time, but once you start thinking about food, I mean, it should not only be functional. I don't want to ruin how you think about food, then it's probably a bit too far. It's a balance, you know, enjoyment, but also thinking a little bit about nutrition and calories and getting to your goals. So yeah, once you start thinking about that, it's more like a philosophy. It's not a diet, it's just how you think and how you live, being active and eating. So yeah, those are some of my best tips so far. Okay, so my final tip here, and a bonus tip, is actually fasting. You know, fasting is not bad or dangerous. You normally feel hungry at the same time per day because your body is used to eating that. So if you suddenly start skipping, for an example, breakfast or dinner, you will start hungry, but that's not, you know, dangerous. It's just the body is used to it. So for example, now it's 12:30 here in the daytime, and I haven't eaten anything today. So of course I feel a little bit hungry, but I mean, it's not dangerous. So what my body is doing right now is actually using the fat, burning up the fat storage, and actually glycogen in the muscles. So it's not ideal to exercise if you haven't eaten anything before, because it's harder for the body to use those resources than food. But it's very easily, like now, so I'm probably gonna eat maybe now around 1. And then I basically have all the calories left for the day in my budget. And also, if you have a big dinner, like volume-wise very big, but also with more fats and carbs, it digests a little bit slower. So I don't feel too hungry. But if I have a really small, of course, light dinner because you starve yourself and you had, you know, burgers for lunch, then it's probably not, you know, the greatest. So what I try to do is to have kind of a big dinner, but relatively low in calories, but with a little bit more fats. So maybe like salmon yesterday, or I had some good vegetables and a little bit more fat content. And also yesterday I had like bacon, for an example, in the morning, and I feel kind of good. So that's just my personal tip. Of course, everyone is different. So yeah, now maybe let's see if I can actually find something to eat. These people want me to come in.
很好吃，来一个非常好吃。
Okay, I guess I gotta try this place. Yes, so gotta scan the QR code.
Okay.
Great. We got a bit of a bonus lesson in sales there. You gotta ask for the deal, getting me to come in here. So he gets the business, and he got me here. So looks very nice. Let's see what they have. Get the menu. It seems like they have some of my favorite dishes here. We have the dry pot organic cauliflower here. It's more like a Sichuan, but I think I can try that one. And also found some really amazing beef here. I'm gonna try. There's a lot of talking going on in the background here. Let's see if we get that in. I think I saw it here. Yes, spice roast beef. Can I try to get that one? 我想这个五香小牛肉，这个。
好嘞。
这个看。
米饭要吗？
啊，不要。
不要。啤酒。
不要。
饮料，可乐、雪碧。
有没有无糖的可乐？没有。没有。
无糖的红茶可以吗？
不要水果。Okay, so we got a case in point there. Tried to get me beer and then Coke, and then I picked the water. So saving 150 calories right there. So gotta walk the talk and show you guys how I do it. Ooh, just okay, so it looks like we got the first food here. Nice. Yeah, it's actually really one of my favorite dishes. It's like cauliflower, I think in oil, I guess, a lot of grease. Ooh, a lot of screaming. And you have meat, I think somewhere under here, but I'm not sure. Let's dig it out. Okay, so we got the next serving here. Ooh, there is some nice beef, I think. 5-spice beef. It's gonna be a fantastic lunch. And then of course we have the cauliflower they already gave us here. That is looking very nice for sure. Actually, these are, I guess the beef I haven't maybe tried before, has some spices, but the cauliflower is one of my favorites actually. Hopefully it's normally more meat inside, not so much today, but just a kind of case in point there with having these two dishes here. You have beef, a lot of meat, also fat, and you have these cauliflower, basically vegetables, and a lot of fat once again. but not so much carbs, a little bit from the vegetables and maybe some sugar they have added here. But there's like no rice, no noodles, and so on. So I'll save that for a little bit later, but now I'm gonna try it out. Okay, it's time to dig in here. We're gonna start with this beef. This is looking amazing. Let's see if you can see it. That is some nice beef. Okay, let's try it out. Tender, juicy. Wow, not the big piece here. This is some great stuff, that's for sure. So good. Okay, let's try these amazing cauliflowers here. Very oily, but still very nice. Let's grab one. Veggies are good for you, but they also have to taste good, and these definitely look very tasty. With the chili oil, wow. Let's see if we can get a bit of a bacon piece here as well. So we can get some of this action. Ooh, the veggies. Bacon and onions and oil. Wow, let's try it. So nice. A bit hard to eat without getting too messy. Gotta wipe this up here. Also have a lot of nice red onions here. I like red onion for the flavor. Ooh, here we got the big piece of bacon. Look at this combo here. It's like a whole piece of bacon. Let's try it. Wow, so juicy and fatty. Great. Yeah, so once again on the topic of tracking, of course, calories, bacon and fat is not ideal. Whoop, dropped it. But I get some beef here to fill up, so it's not ideal. I mean, if I just had like an omelette with egg whites on, it's gonna be a lot less fat, a lot more protein, but still here you gotta enjoy it as well. It's all about balance of life, right? So I'm gonna take my time, enjoy this, and just take in all this great Chinese food. I really like it, especially, you know, the spices. So I will see you a bit later. Okay, so welcome back. It's 4 p.m. now, and it's very nice and warm outside. I think it's like 23 degrees, and the sun is shining, as you clearly can see. So I picked up that bread after my Chinese class, and now it's windy. Let's see if I can continue. But I'm just going to continue biking here. As I mentioned, I think you should have kind of an active lifestyle. So I think hopefully this is a case in point on how to do that. You have to be careful though. So I'm just going to meet up my friends over here, and then, yeah, show you maybe some clips in the background. But basically that lunch really filled me up. It was a lot of protein and fat, not so much carbs. And our Chinese class went well, so a lot of good energy there. But since I skipped basically breakfast earlier, I still have kind of room to eat a little bit here after. We'll see, but I'm probably gonna eat not too much, I think. Go back after this, probably take a bit of a rest and cook some healthy dinner. But yeah, we'll see what it ends up here in the park. It looked very nice. I saw some pictures. So yeah, I just wanted to show you a little bit about that. So see you soon. Yeah, so I'm gonna wrap it up here. Very nice here. You have all these flowers still blooming in the background. Super nice. It's been a very enjoyable day just walking around. But let me know if you think this is kind of interesting, hearing, you know, how I do things. I'm not saying this how you need to do it, but just sharing some tips and thoughts on top of my mind. I really like to just walk around, you know, having an active daily lifestyle, walking and running. And I think a lot of other people also like to do that, as you can see in the background in here. So let me know how you do this. Otherwise, you know, let me know if you have questions or other things you're wondering about this. But for those of you who stay on, I'm looking forward to sharing more with you. So if you want to see more, like, subscribe, and see you in the next video.